Hi everybody, it's Jamie Dougherty with Live with Prima. We had a little mishap with the recording the other night. Somehow it was not processed correctly. So today I'm going to go ahead and show you how I created this scrapbook page using the lyric collection. So let's go ahead and get started. For my background, I went ahead and chose a piece of cardstock from Prima's new textured paper pad. We are going to go ahead, you can see that there's a lot of different colors in this pad. And they're all neutrals, so it's really nice to kind of build your base off of. We're just going to go ahead and pick this khaki piece of paper. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut out some words from this piece of paper from the lyric collection. Now this piece is called Recital. And you can see this side is kind of really nice, kind of watercolor look with a frame and roses and butterflies. But I'm going to use the word side. And all you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and go through and cut out different words from the backgrounds. And it doesn't have to be exact because we're going to kind of cover some of these. But you do need a lot to kind of collage the back of your page. So I'm just going to go through, cut out. All right. Once we feel we have enough words to kind of cover the background to create a backdrop for our page, we can go ahead and lay these words out. Cut these three real quick. And again, they don't have to be exactly straight. I find myself wanting to spend, a lot of time trying to make them perfect, but they're not really ever going to be perfect. So, okay. Just kind of trimming a couple of these down real quick. What we're going to do is we're going to lay them out. They don't have to be straight. They don't have to be exact. We just want to make a nice little cool background to lay our photo on. So we're just going to kind of play with these until we have kind of a cool backdrop. I know it looks a little off right now, but I promise once we get the photo or the picture on and the words colored and everything else, believe me, you're going to see the difference. Okay. So let's do this one here. And you could play with these all day. There's so many different words and sayings in there that you could really create a layout, exactly based off of what you want to remember. Let's put this one here and this one right there. All right. That looks pretty good. I don't think we have too many little empty spots. All right, so here's our backdrop. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and glue all these down. And you could use a tape runner, or you could use, I would suggest a liquid adhesive because we are going to be getting these wet. I would use a liquid adhesive. It will help keep them stuck down. Just make sure you get your edges down really well. All right, so now we have all of our words glued onto the background. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to alter them. We're going to kind of color them in. You could use colors that match your style, of course. The colors I'm going to use are more of a pinky peach color first off, what I'm going to start with is some Luminart Twinkling H2Os. They're just like a watercolor, but they have a nice little shimmer to them. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and get my paintbrush wet, because of course watercolors, you're going to need some water. Go ahead and get this wet. Add some water into the pool of paint. We're just going to kind of take those. Oop, I forgot to glue one on. He was hiding in there. Okay. Put him back down. Again, we're going to go back in and add some color with our paintbrush. And our Luminart paint. And keep going down. You can add as little or as much as you like. Again, that's personal preference. Okay. And kind of bring in a couple shoots of color towards the outside. Alright. Okay, see, this is our background so far. Alrighty. A little more up here. And then what I also did is I took our chalk edgers, Prima's chalk edgers. This one's in Pastel Peach. And I just kind of added some along the page just to add another depth of color. It's a lighter color. Softens it up a little bit. Gives a different depth again, like I said. And now what you'll do is you're going to go ahead and take a charcoal pencil. Anyone will work. I usually stick with a basic like 6Bs. It's just a soft charcoal. And I'm just going to go right around our words to kind of frame them out a little bit. Doesn't have to be exact. This just kind of helps them stand out a little bit. You just kind of trace around all of these. Each one. And as you can see, I'm not being very careful about going around one of them. Each. And just look how the difference just tracing them makes compared to the ones down at the bottom that haven't been traced yet. It really makes them stand out really well. And I kind of make my little sketch doodle lines and okay. Alrighty. So this is our basics for our background. Now what we could do is we can add a stencil or two to the background, and that will help create a little more distinction and a little more contrast and kind of make our page and take it to that next level. So the two masks that I used were Donna Downey's polka dot mask from last CHA. And then I also have one from Anna's Dabrowska's new collection. And it has a really nice checkerboard background. Now for the polka dot mask, what I used is I used an actual paint pen, paint marker, acrylic marker. You can use any color. I'm going to use black to kind of highlight the black that I used for the charcoal. And all you're going to do, and when I do, I don't always just mask the entire background. I do bits and pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and make 3 little clusters around the page. And I'm just going to go right inside those polka dots. and color in a few. Don't need a lot, we just need something to add some texture to the background. So we're going to go like this, and then down here towards the bottom, just like that. Then for the next mask I'm going to use the checkerboard mask, and I'm going to go ahead and use another paint, and this is actually a Silks acrylic glaze. It's in Solar Gold, and this is also from Luminart. And all I'm going to do is take a makeup sponge, those cheap makeup sponges you could find at the dollar store. I'm just going to go ahead and dab just a little bit. You don't want a lot, because if you have a lot of paint on your mask, what it'll do is it'll seep underneath the mask. So you just want to go ahead and put it down, hold it in place, and just lightly dab over the top of your screen. And again, I don't need a whole lot. I just want little pops of color around my page. And I chose gold because it's kind of a nice accent color to this antique vintage pink color that I used. And that is in the color that's in the collection as well. Okay. You can see our little clusters there. And then one more little area, just like that. All right. So now we have a finished background. Now we will start building our pieces. Now I didn't take a lot of pattern paper to build my background. I just took strips of contrasting colors. Here we have some of the blacks that will contrast with our lighter colors. And we have some tucked under here. So you don't need a lot of paper because, one, you don't want to hide your background. And two, we are going to embellish it with some flowers. So you won't need a whole lot to embellish with. And I suggest getting an A4 pack of paper for embellishing. You have all of the same patterns and all of the same little cutouts as you do the 12 by 12s, but you are able to go ahead and use less paper or waste less paper when you're doing your cutouts. Okay, so this is the A4 pack for the Lyric collection, and there is some really cool papers in here, and you'd get a lot out of the pack. So next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a couple strips. Doesn't need to be anything big. Just something to poke out of the edge of our centerpiece where our photo is going to go. Cut a couple pieces out of this paper. This really pretty pattern paper. Just like so. Okay. Now another component I'm going to use as my background is the actual Prima packaging from the flowers we're going to use. These are the silk stem flowers for the Lyric collection. Here's another set of silk stem flowers from the collection as well. These are really nice. These are my favorites from the collection this time. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the packaging out. You see nice doilies and stuff on the back. Well, on the back, they've created a little template so you can make a pocket out of this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use this one. The other one's a little bent. Put those aside. And I'm just going to go ahead and fold right at my little fold line. Just like that. Okay. And all you're going to do is add a little adhesive to the sides. and fold it down. Okay, so this will be another little component for our background. So let's go ahead and glue our little accent pieces to our page. Here. You could also pop these up if you wanted to. I'm keeping this one pretty flat. Just like this. All right. I'm going to glue this down completely. Kind of center it on our page a bit. All right, so that's our next layer for our page. Next, we're going to do some little accent pieces like our flowers and our wood and our gems. Now on this page, I had the chipboard piece from the line, which looks like a little Polaroid. I don't have an extra one of that, but I wanted to point that out, that for the actual photo, what I did was I used the chipboard piece, put my frame in around my photo. You can just put a regular little photo, like a 3x3 or 2x2 would fit perfectly in here. And what I did was I popped it up only on these 3 corners, so that I could still put a little journaling spot inside our pocket that we made. So that is just a little tip for the photo. Now let's go ahead and pick some of our little embellishments we're going to use for the page itself. Again, I chose some of the new vines from the collection. I'm going to use the white. The pink is a little bright for what I'm doing. So I'm just going to pull the white, a couple of the white stems apart from the rest of them. We're also going to be using some of these really pretty new flowers. Okay. Untwist these. Just like that. And I'm going to use, let's see, 2 of them. Just 2 from this collection. Now, if you open these up, you can see they have really pretty centers in them. So you can use them opened or closed. A really pretty collection. We're also going to be using these flowers. We're also going to be using the Cabriolet in white. You can see there it comes with 3 nice large to medium flowers. Comes with a little stem of small flowers with centers in them, as well as leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the big one. This is going to be kind of our focal point. And then the medium one to help anchor it. We are going to alter these in just a minute. I'm also going to use these little guys as well. Alright, just a mix of colors. Grab one more. And then I'm also going to be using accents of tape as well as some gems. Prima came out with these really cool circle crystals as well. So let's go ahead and glue our embellishments down. Again, when I embellish and I start with my largest flower first. And this helps me kind of guess where I'm going to place the rest of them. Go ahead and place that down. And you want to make sure that you don't cover your pocket that you created. Kind of tuck this one under so that our large one still remains the main focal point. All right. And then we're going to take one of our larger new stems. I'm going to cut some of the stem off. And tuck him underneath, just like so. All right. Add one of our little flowers to the edge. We're going to put one right here to kind of break up the two larger flowers. Let's see. Add a stem up here. And what I did is to add just a little accent, plus kind of give it a little extra detail. I added a couple little pieces of the tape. You don't need anything too long, just enough to appear as if it is holding down this little stem, which it is. It's helping kind of keep it in place. So I put my little writer's tape down first. And then I put my lyric cloth tape down next over the top. It's like a linen, thin linen tape. There we go. Just like that. And now we're going to kind of continue our design over onto this side. And I'm going to take my other little stem, kind of open it up a little bit so you can enjoy the inside of the flower. Like so. And then we're going to kind of cover, camouflage our little stem a little bit, like that. And then right here. Now in this little open area again is going to be our photo. Cut our other little stem. Now this one I'm going to go ahead and pull apart. I want this one separated. I'm going to tuck him over here, right in that corner. And then our other piece, we can cut some of this off. Just a little. And go over this end right here. All right, so here is our flower embellishments for the piece. Now again, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and go in and add color to them. And what I did was I'm going to take the Twinkling H2Os once more so that it matches our background. And I'm going to go in and add some color. And the color I'm using on this is Persimmon. It's got a kind of almost a it's pink orange color. I didn't do this before I put the flowers down just for the fact that I didn't want it to misshapen my flowers. Anytime you add liquid to your flowers, no matter what it is, if you start touching them a lot, I mean, they are made out of paper and they are handmade. So anytime you start touching them, altering them, you're going to misshapen them. So if I suggest trying to color them, if you can, once they are on your page where you want them, that way you aren't going back in and disturbing them, so they can dry exactly where you left them. And since I'm using a similar color to our background, if I get a little bit on our background, it's not going to show up and be noticeable. Okay, go in and get our last couple leaves, kind of going over some of our other flowers just to add a little color to them, like that. If you have too much, you can go ahead and add just a little water and it'll soften it up a bit. All right, so we've altered our flowers. Now when these dry, they'll dry a little bit lighter, pretty much the same color as what they look like on the finished page. So they won't be quite as dark, as you can see. Next, what I did was I cut a couple of pieces of our wood trim. This is part of Anna's collection as well. And I took the checkerboard piece and I cut this in bits and pieces. So I have just 3 little accent pieces. Basically just cut it in thirds. And we're going to go ahead and glue them down. We have one over here that'll peek out behind our photo. We have our other edge piece that is going to peek out on the other side, like so. And then I have one just as a triple accent up at the top. Now you can color these as well, which I'm going to. Just run the color right over the top. And these wood pieces will take the chalk inks. Like, let's take our little chalk ink that we used earlier. You could run it right over the top. Leave a nice soft color to them. Just like that. Just to tint them a little bit. And last but not least for our little background design is our crystals. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to place some here and there on the page. And what this does, this helps draw the eye down your page. It continues the eyesight all the way down so that everyone catches each and every detail you put into your page. All right. And for the frame, I don't have this frame. This is part of the frame set to the collection. And I just cut out a word from our word paper that we used earlier. This also comes with a background sheet that you can use as well. And this is my title. Now you can add another title if you'd like. I cut out a piece of paper and glued it to the back of the frame. And for my little journaling spot, what I used was a piece of the Prima packaging. I inked it with Prima chalk inks, and then I wrote my little sentiment on this onto the piece of packaging. And this is another new Prima embellishment. This little cute music note, and I just slipped that little puppy right over the edge of my journaling tag, like so. And there you have a nice finished layout using the Layer collection. Thank you so much, and I again apologize for the video not recording the other night for Live with Prima. If you have any questions, just give me a holler. Thank you and have a great week.